We're live. Okay. For everyone that is here, thank you so much for being here and finding our fresh link after we were confused. We probably have a very silly 15-second video available for viewing on Journey Free's website now. I'm Emily Hedrick. I'm the program director at Journey Free. And this is our first live together. So one of the things that we are learning at Journey Free is how to do fun things like this. And so you get to be a part of our learning experience. And I think we're doing all right. So if you are live and with us, drop a comment. Just say hello. Maybe say where you're from in the live chat. I'm going to, when you see me turn over, it's because I'm looking at the live chat. I'm going to say hi. So in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about Journey Free. For those of you who may or may not know, Journey Free is an organization devoted to education and being with people, journeying with people on the process of recovery from harmful religion. And we do that in a few different ways. One of the biggest things we do is our Release and Reclaim support group. And that's an ongoing thing. It's been happening for years. There are some people that have been members of that group for, well, I don't know. It's been around for about a decade, right?
Probably more than that.
You can find a link to Journey Free's website down in the description of the video. And we have 2 conference calls a month, but we also have a private online forum where we have conversations about things and access to a variety of resources, including Marlene's book and a few other books that are really helpful in the recovery process, and access to each other. I've met some really amazing people in that group that have made me feel not alone in the recovery process. And I think that's a really important part of the healing, is finding people that get it and not feeling alone and not feeling that shame in the same way. Another thing that Journey Free does is individual coaching, and that's particularly through Marlene and through select interns over time. I do some of that coaching myself in my religious recovery coaching business. Marlene is supervising me in that. And that's for anybody that's looking for one-on-one support as they are learning more about what their next steps are after leaving, or even in the process of leaving controlling religious communities. And then the other things that we do are retreats. And for a while, Journey Free's done weekend retreats. They're in person, and so the pandemic has made that impossible in the past few months here, and we don't really know what that's going to look like going into the future. So one of our newest offerings is an online religious recovery boot camp, which is a 5-month intensive with 2-hour sessions once a week, working through a variety of the steps of going through the recovery process. And you'll hear more about that as we go. I'm going to check in. Oh, Terry, hi! There's a fair amount of oh, it's fixed. Maybe. That here in the U.S., there's a fair amount of trouble with people not really taking the pandemic seriously, and that often coincides with a certain type of religious involvement. And so that may be something that you're dealing with your family too, and the expectations may be difficult. So if you have any particular questions or things you'd like us to discuss, please drop it in the live chat. And Marlene, I believe they're telling me it's fixed, so I think maybe me playing around with the mixer helped. So I think we're in a better spot now. So let's go into talking a little bit about coping with religious family, and we'll just start with some of your general, what you've noticed in your 30 years of practice.
We were talking about Journey Free, and I was explaining that we are approaching religious trauma as something that affects the whole person, the emotional, the social, and the physiological aspects. And tonight, talking about family relationships, first of all, realizing that if you leave a religion that you've been seriously involved in, especially from childhood, from early childhood, and this was something that you were devoted to, you took it seriously, or maybe you just had to go to church because your family made you, but you were immersed in it, you were inundated with it, then um, then leaving that worldview is enormous. It's like having a rug pulled out from under you. Everything about life itself is changed. And one of the things that's changed is your relationships and your relationships with family. They're just not the same anymore. What is that? Well, it's like multiple universes. You are in a different reality in a sense because you're no longer seeing everything in terms of spiritual warfare. You're not worried about heaven and hell anymore, although that might haunt you. There might be fears regarding that. You're trying to live your life here and now. You're trying to respect yourself as a person with some intrinsic dignity, which is different from original sin, where you're bad and wrong, and you're born that way. You're trying to live with courage and joy and hope instead of fear. Fear about the afterlife, fear about the world, fear about other people, yourself. You're trying to learn to trust yourself and know that your own intuitions and instincts are good and move ahead with your life. So it's just a very, very different way of looking at life. And from the religious point of view, from your parents' point of view, if they're religious, what you're doing is wrong. It's a delusion of Satan, and basically, you're going to hell. You may think you're happy, but you're not. There are just all these accusations about what's going on, and they don't know what to do about it, and they might be panicked about it too. But basically, the question that we're going to try to address here is how do we bridge that? How do we bridge that gap? Is anybody here? Let's hear from you. Is anybody here wondering how to continue relationships with family because of this huge divide that you have now?
We've had a few people mention just the getting gifts from family that are apologetics, like books of apologetics.
Okay, great question. Let me know. Okay, so you're getting apologetic books from fundamentalist in-laws. Okay, so you basically have two realities going on here. And you're coming. It's like you're having multiple universes. They think you're lost, and they're trying to help you, and they feel totally obligated to do that. One thing that is interesting about these situations is that in religious families, there's just a huge confusion about responsibility, personal responsibility. Parents feel like they excited about other things you're achieving or whether you're happy or anything like that because it's not nearly as important as your salvation. So they're under this kind of pressure that's imposed on them by this extremely insidious religion that takes so much control and actually usurps parenting in some ways. So one thing to start with is to understand and have some compassion for that feeling that they probably have of and know that it's to them it's more important just being supportive to you and being happy that you're happy. That's just not good enough at all in that worldview. So that's their side of it. Your side of it is that you don't necessarily uh, want the imposition. It's actually it can feel even even abusive to be hounded by this material and these ideas and this incessant kind of pressure to go back to a belief system that you have left. So you have every right to to not allow that influence in your life and not accept that in your life. The question here is how can you do it in a way that's that's diplomatic, that's going to promote the relationship and not make it worse. And so uh, you have to find a way of talking with them that is both assertive, where you assert your needs and you explain that this is not the way that you see the world anymore, and you would like them to respect that, and that you are respectfully requesting that they not give you this material anymore. And at the same time, you express empathy and compassion and say that you understand where they might be coming from, and that they are concerned about you, and you appreciate that. You appreciate that very much, but that's going to have to be something other than sending you material, because that's just not something that's welcome in your life right now. And hope that they will accept that. You don't necessarily have to have them agree with you or understand, and that's important. Don't expect understanding, because it's not going to happen. But you can expect acceptance, and you can be assertive about enforcing that. And they will just have to get used to it. If they don't like it and have some feelings about it, that is going to be their process and their problem. It's not your problem in the end, because what you're doing is you're being authentic and real, and also compassionate, and so you've done everything that you can do. Does that make sense?